True.
Your falling face first in the ground. Don't want nothing, but I see you. A faded place, a love I found. How you
Hi. Thank you so much for being here. If you are, it is storming outside right now. So if this shuts off, if someone could let me know, I don't want it to be super laggy. So I'm going to be doing a number of series about the women of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. Thought that that would be an interesting perspective, and that's why I put well behaved women seldom make history. I actually have a bumper sticker of Ghislaine Maxwell on my vehicle that says that, and I find it quite funny. I've only gotten one honk and someone yelling that Epstein didn't off himself, so I'll take it. But, anyways, and I'm only going to say this one time, I'm going to keep it very short. I'm going to continue uh, every day that I have available, with the time I have available, because you might be asking yourself, why is she making so many videos about the False Memory Syndrome Foundation? Um, A, statements have not been retracted, and B, I'm going to try to lay out the argument that, well, we might be looking at the new board or a new organization, maybe operating independently. I don't know. I'm not saying any names. That's just the vibe that I'm getting. So, oh, hi, Shanna, Law Nerd. Oh, look, my chat's working. Hi, Tiffany. Let's see what Shanna has to say. The replay crew. Sorry, guys. I love this chat stuff. This is totally new to me. Because I have the information, that's why. Yeah, girl. So, I wanted to show you guys because I almost came on here and did a retraction because I was having a hard time finding Margaret Singer in the False Memory Syndrome Foundation archives. I thought I got the date mixed up, but I didn't. And then I found in the Brown archive that's in the live Google document for the project that I was working on Tony's channel, the original first circulation from the Frades. And I'm going to read you guys exactly what it says because I think it really says it all, quite frankly. But I could be wrong. And again, this is everybody else's determination, right? Not me. So let me share this. And hopefully you guys can see that. All right. So the FMS newsletter, February 29th, 1992. I only want to look at one part right here. How do we know we are not representing pedophiles? So, one might argue that they were well aware that this might be a little controversial, right? So, this is beyond me, okay? I want to make that very clear. This is beyond me that any of this was acceptable and that anybody discusses this organization in passivity, period. There are two ways that we will address this concern. The first has to do with who we are. If I had taken a camera to any of the 3 meetings held here in Philadelphia, I would have been hard put to know whom to photograph. We are a good looking bunch of people, graying hair, well dressed, healthy, smiling. The similarity of the stories is astounding, so script like and formulaic that doubts dissolve after the few families. Just about every person who has attended is someone you would likely find interesting and want to count as a friend. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? This woman is putting out this publication, And that's her answer. That's completely insane to me. Because we have graying hair, we look nice, we look safe. Is that argument going to hold up with the, I don't know, Catholic Church, the Mormon Church? Any church, Southern Baptist? I mean, seriously, who are you, Miss Frade? And then the other part, because I gotta show you the second reason, so give me 1 second. This woman. Okay, and over here. The second way that we will address this concern involves lie detector tests. We all know that we are in the difficult position of having to prove a negative. While we know in our hearts that we should not have to do it, and while we all know in our minds their limitations, the polygraph is the best tool that we have to tell the world of the truth of our stories. If all members of the FMS Foundation either have had or express a willingness to be polygraphed, we will have a powerful statement that we are not in the business of representing pedophiles. Well, Mrs. Frade, I am here to inform you that that has not aged well. Holy crap. Polygraphs are not, polygraphs are garbage. They're garbage. Seriously. So the fact that your graying hairline and dressing nice and a polygraph test is the indicator that they are not in the business of representing pedophiles is beyond me. And guess what? We don't get to separate that initial paper from the rest of the foundation. Sorry, that's not how life works. We're not cherry picking anything, okay? Because, like I said, the daughter of her has not recanted her statement. So it is what it is. Oh, who else do we have over here? Hi. Oh, hi, McGramblon. Let's see. Just watched some good docs about this subject on Real Women, Real Stories, False Memory Syndrome Foundation board members, and the founder was featured in one about Mary Knight. Nice. I love good documentaries. So, I respect good research. Thank you. Legal studies and any medical studies do that to you. My grandfather was a biochemist for the FDA. Shanna, that's fascinating. I would love to talk to you about that. I can't see Y2K's comment, but whatever he said, thank you. Let's see. Sorry, guys, I'm still figuring this out. And McRamble thank you so much. So on Instagram and on Twitter, I have my series about the Franklin scandal, which I will be covering on here at some point. But Conspiracy of Silence is the documentary that, didn't end up getting aired on TV here because a bunch of anonymous congressmen and state legislators called the cable news company and threatened to hit them with penalties if they aired it. And then they bottled the copies anonymously and destroyed it. So isn't that lovely? Okay. Hi, guys. I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, so now I'm going to give you guys a warning, a trigger warning, because I'm not going to do it today because I don't feel that it's fair. But now I am going to announce it. Moving forward, anytime I discuss the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, I am going to give you a little piece of Kinsey history, specifically some of his research and some of the individuals that he worked with. And it will be very brief, but I feel that it is astute, so to speak, just to reiterate and drive home the fact of what the False Memory Syndrome Foundation stood for. Because I really don't want to do an entire thing on Kinsey. It's a lot psychologically and emotionally, but I think just a little bit each time is going to drive home my point. And I think that that's fair. So, morning, moving forward, that's what we're going to be doing, guys. Okay, so now I want to pull up because we're going to talk about Mrs. Loftus. Okay, because she. Okay, so I found in the archives today, guys, and I wanted to scream. I'm not going to lie. It made me really frustrated, but whoever took off the paywall for this, thank you very much. Because I'm going to read, a decent portion of this to you guys because this is really important to me. Because Elizabeth Loftus is a scumbag of a human being. Okay? She is disgusting. But we're going to show how far back this goes with her. So let me just go back up to the top of the article from the Daily Pilot. Again, this is completely archived, and this is from February 3rd, 2003. Remembering what couldn't have been. So if you'll see right here, UC Irvine professor Elizabeth Loftus has successfully planted in the minds of willing volunteers false memories. Not true. This is not true. She did a really silly study about getting left at the mall. It's ridiculous. And okay, so first off, because you guys may not know who Elizabeth Loftus is, and I apologize, that's my fault. So, I said yesterday, I think, that she was the expert witness for Ghislaine Maxwell, O.J. Simpson, Ted Bundy, Harvey Weinstein. So she's been around the block. She's been a busy girl, and she still is out, preaching the great truths of the false memory syndrome. Very active woman. So when you look her up, for the most part, you guys are going to see good things about her. So I'm not here to exonerate her. I'm here to give you guys a critical look because a lot of these things tend to be hidden, like that original circulation from the false memory syndrome. Yeah, there are archives online on that website. That one's not there. I would wonder why. Doesn't really seem like a valid reason to start a pedophile charity, but I digress. So let's move on. Let me go back to this. Where did it go? Oh, I just had it. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna get good at this. Where did she go? And oh, I hope I didn't close it. Nope, there it is. Found it. Okay. All right. So, right here. In her research, she was able to plant bogus recollections of distressing events in about 25% of her adult volunteers. So, this was her shopping mall study. Okay. And this study specifically, there's videos about it. You guys can go and watch it. It's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen. Getting left in a shopping mall. How is that comparable to abuse? Now I'm going to scroll down here because this is important right here. Tell me if this has aged well. I mean, the fact that this was written in 2003, but, Loftus is disturbed by the recent Catholic Church scandals, but not for the reasons one might assume. She is upset because priests are being accused of various crimes that have been discovered through the course of hypnotherapy or some other form of deep subconscious scouring. Really? I think that there's a whole lot of people that would disagree with you, Miss Loftus. Not just me. But, well, sorry guys. Here it is. This is the kicker for me. Because this stuff is really hard to find. It's written in books, but it's very hard to find online. So now I can show you guys. Loftus was the key expert witness at McMartin. Okay? Tell me how this woman's track record seems. She also was a professional witness for the Hillside Strangler, for Oliver North of Iran-Contra, which was going on at the same time of the Franklin scandal. That's a little weird. She was also the professional witness for the officers accused of beating Rodney King, Michael Jackson, and the Oklahoma bombings. Guess who else was involved with the stuff going on in Oklahoma? Jolly West. But I'm not here to talk about that today. And look. Girl power. Loftus was number 85 on the 2002 list of most eminent psychologists of the 20th century and the top ranked woman. So, what a girl boss, right? What a girl boss. Go, Elizabeth. You feel good about yourself? Women can be very dangerous. There are studies out there that have shown, especially in regards to human trafficking and child trafficking, women are the ones you don't expect. And so that's why I'm going to discuss each female that I believe is relevant. And I think that their praises and good work have been written about, movies, so on and so forth, long enough. So I'm here to scrutinize everything. If you think that I'm being biased, I don't disagree. And that's not unfair. But these people have not been challenged. They really haven't. So let me find the next thing that I want to show you guys, because I'm kind of on one today. So this, let me pull this back. Ethics complaints filed against False Memory Syndrome Foundation board member Elizabeth Loftus. The American Psychological Association, or APA, that'll be easier for me to refer it to, declined to investigate. I wonder why. So, this shows right here, this is from May 1996. Okay? And this was in Treating Abuse Today magazine. This was a special double issue. And let me find exactly where I wanted to start, because this was actually, I guess, quite a scandal. Okay. Okay, sorry guys, I want to pull it. There we go. So she resigned very shortly after these complaints were filed. And this notes the Office of Ethics declined to investigate the ethics charges when she walked away. They said that it was unusual for a member to resign in the time frame between receipt of a complaint and a committee decision regarding appropriate action. When such a resignation does occur, however, the APA no longer has any authority to pursue the ethics complaints against the member. I'm seeing a lot of conflicts of interest with someone who wields a lot of power. How was this woman allowed to continue? I mean, seriously, shame on the APA. Shame on them. And I'm not going to sit here and read through all of this, but these were specifically child abuse cases. These two women, victims who were children at the time, these are their cases that they filed against her. And I felt the need to point that part out because as I'm digging through the archives on the False Memory Syndrome Foundation, they compare, and I'm going to show you guys when I get to it, but they compare the claims of sexual abuse, especially incestuous, to UFO sightings. And they actually say that UFO sightings are more credible. So I have to point things like that out here. And that's insane to me. Because I actually had someone reach out to me about a UFO sighting and the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. So now I have to point these things out. And I just don't understand why we have to keep having this conversation. But it is what it is. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop until these things are acknowledged because it's really, really important to me. Now, let me pull up this one, I think that this is it because I do want to show y'all the original. Here we go. Okay, this is the one. And there we go. So let me go back up to the top really quick so I can show you guys where we're at. Because, people ask me, what are you talking about? What is false memory syndrome? Is this the same as repressed memories? And these are all very valid questions, and I don't try to be dismissive at all. And if I come off that way, I am so sorry, because this topic just makes me really, really angry. However, this is a fantastic resource that helps break everything down. I'm not going to read through all of this, but Memory, Abuse, and Science, Questioning Claims About the False Memory Syndrome Epidemic. This, let me see. So this was published, it won an award. Oh, I didn't even read that part, but this was published in the American Psychologist. Okay, well, that's great. That makes it even more valid. Look at that. We're all learning together. And that makes me very happy because we all have something to learn, especially about this stuff. Now, I know I was much closer to the bottom. Where's the science? Because we gotta have the science, right? We gotta have everything cited and peer reviewed and blah, 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 blah. So, here we go. I am going to read this paragraph, so just bear with me, okay? Because people love to refer to the science. And I like to remind people that throughout history, all over the world, science, healthcare, academia, psychology, what have you, is often weaponized. And these people just think that they're smarter than everybody else. And I disagree. Careful examination, the scientific process. Questioning scientific claims may be difficult if a prestigious group portrays them as the only legitimate scientific view, sufficiently established so as to preclude serious consideration of any alternative views. For example, a prominent regional psychological association invited an array of scientists to discuss the debate about memory and abuse from a scientific perspective. Suggestions that a more balanced program might be achieved by supplementing the members of the FMSF Scientific and Professional Advisory Board, who had been invited as speakers with scientists who might present alternatives to the FMSF view, were rejected by FMSF as unscientific. So they're admitting that they don't want to use science and that they want an uninvolved party to come in and contribute their thoughts. Interesting. Here was their rationale for the rejection. A memory researcher told us that research academics, quote unquote, don't even know what this memory debate is about. They see the evidence, and to them, the science of memory is obvious. He is right. The quote unquote science of the quote unquote memory is established. How could a scientific program about memory be balanced? The notion makes no more sense than trying to balance a program in astronomy by including astrologers. And that was published in 1996. Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth and how stupid I sound right now? Yeah? Because I think that I sound really stupid. Seriously. I think that I sound really dumb. And I'm not talking about you guys, me, when I look at this stuff. It's insulting. These people think that they're so smart. And they're not. And I don't know. What happened to believe all women, right? Like Me Too. Wasn't that around the time of Harvey Weinstein? You know? Why is it Me Too except kids? That is my question. That is my question. And I've made this point on other shows where I'm a guest, and I've posted about it on Twitter. Why is it Me Too except for children? You guys have seen that there is no scientific basis for any of this. Does answering that question involve taking a really hard look at the past couple of decades? Well, I don't know. Because I'm getting to the point, and this is just me kind of rambling for the moment, I'm getting to the point where this, we do throw the baby out with the bathwater. Here, absolutely. Absolutely. Because this foundation benefited no one except for the people on the board. No one. It is beyond me that these people are hailed as heroes and whistleblowers against communism. You know, jolly Margaret Singer. It's a joke. It's a joke. One has to wonder, did that individual enter the field? You know, these board members? Or were they commissioned by their handlers, so to speak? And by handlers, I mean the government. This whole notion that, you know, Jolly was maybe just in the weird places at weird times. And he didn't work for the CIA. Okay, sure. Whatever you want to tell yourself, because that's not true. And I'll get back to Jolly at some point, but again, the government loves to weaponize these things. This isn't political, this is just a fact. Okay? And if you read the literature on the satanic panic and the False Memory Syndrome Foundation and the Human Radiation Experiments Committee that I read a couple of days ago, there's a decent argument, and I would say decent. It doesn't deserve to be thrown out because there's not evidence. But there is a decent argument that those children that are named in government testimony, that started coming back to them. Well, wouldn't that be perfect? And then you've got this woman, Mrs. Fraid. And the public can't know what her husband did. So let's create a charity organization that's tax exempt. Wow. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Are people not willing to let go of their worldview? Are they willing to white knuckle it into the grave? Because I'll come on here and I'll talk about this every single day. Let me see who's over here. Hi. Have to go to the beginning for Singer. That is absolutely right, Willie Weed. Sorry, guys, I don't know if these are a little bit behind. Yeah, she's on there super, super early. And like I said yesterday, she was a peer of Louis Joyland Jolly West, working with the POWs, mind control, all of that stuff. McRamble, so we need people like you to criticize, scrutinize, and raise our awareness. Thank you, McRamble. I really appreciate that. It's a very nice comment. Truth and kids are what matter to me. Me too, Willie Weed. Me too. So, gang. It absolutely is insulting. How could you not believe a child? The statistics, which agreed, are easily manipulated, but every statistic on kids says they are 90% or more truthful on incidents involving harm. That's absolutely right. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Shanna, because I think that me discussing some of Kinsey's research and results, because I warned you guys, I'm going to start talking about it every time. That's going to show how easily the research can be skewed. Because his research was skewed. He just didn't tell anybody. And the Kinsey Institute, the Kinsey Sex Research Institute, was literally funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. Okay? So, you want to tell me that money doesn't make a difference? And that, as someone so astutely said yesterday in a comment near the end of the stream, that it boggles the mind a little bit when you realize that pedophiles are running the world. Literally. And it's like a master slave, master or slave or master and servant class of the most degraded kind. But everybody just moves along. What, because you need a peer-reviewed article? Did you see that initial publication, the actual printed out copy, where Pamela Frade argues that because she has a graying hairline and dresses nice, that's a legitimate reason? I'm going to try not to yell or cry. Because remember, I'm an angry crier, anxious crier. And I have more to show you guys. So let me pull this up and let's see. Because I know she's in here somewhere. I pulled up so much stuff on her today. And I probably should have organized it a little bit better, but that's okay. We're going to get through this. Okay. Now, let me see. Sorry, guys. I just want to make sure that I'm pulling up the right thing. And thank you guys for being patient with me. I really appreciate it because I know I'm not great at this yet, but we're going to get there together. There we go. This is the one that I wanted. Oh, man. I cannot recommend Last American Vagabond enough. You guys want some real muckraking journalism? Go to The Last American Vagabond. Whitney Webb used to write for them. And look up any topic that you'd like, especially a topic that seems to be taboo. These people source this stuff to the teeth, and I love it. It's great. And we need more people like them, quite frankly. So, where did you go? Where did it go? I have it here. And we're very close. Here we go. Okay. Bingo. All right. So, Miss Elizabeth Loftus. I would agree that she is the most prolific member of the FMSF Scientific Advisory Board. This notes she has made her living as a memory expert, testifying in defense of some of the most notorious people in history. She bases her claims on scientific studies that she conducted that are questionable and leave a lot of room for interpretation. Yes, you heard that right. The science that she cites is questionable science at best. At best. And that's how she's made her career. She also testified in the Menendez brothers trial. And this one, because it's so recent and everybody knows, because people are still curious about Epstein, right? And Ghislaine, it's a meme that he didn't kill himself. People still want to, quote unquote, see the list, whatever. So there's still a little bit of lore around it, despite the fact that, the gravity of what these people did kind of gets lost in the narrative, I believe. But it states here Elizabeth Loftus has created an industry around disparaging the witnesses in these cases and dismissing the claims of the victims involved. Even with the dissolution of the FMSF back in 2019, she is more popular than ever. She discredited the victims that were trafficked by Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein. This is just a fact. Why else would she be there? That is her purpose, is to discredit the victims. She's disgusting. And I just kind of want to show you guys, this is a great website. I want to go back to the top. That way you guys can recognize it if you'd like to look. But this is a fantastic resource and I could not recommend it enough. And they do share all of their sources as well. I'm not going to sit here and ramble on for hours, although I would love to. And I really would. I'm going to read one more thing. But I would like to remind everyone, if you don't listen to Whitney Webb, if you don't follow Whitney Webb's work, she has done the staple research on Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine, the Mossad in general, even though all the intelligence agencies, it's just a big pool of incest of intelligence, okay? I said that the other night. But Jeffrey Epstein, specifically, was involved in the 2007-2008 housing market disaster. Do you know why? Take a guess. His crimes weren't new. So someone's comment about pedophiles running everything, and we're basically, the peasant class, so to speak. People were literally kicked out of their homes. The economy crashed because of what these people do. And that's why I love Whitney Webb, because she always reminds people of that. Because isn't it kind of weird that the news primarily focuses on the sex crimes? And we don't even know all of those. And here we are with Ghislaine. So we're going through it again. JP Morgan Chase. They just settled. And boy, did Jamie Dimon change his mind on that real quick, didn't he? I think it was within like 48 hours. And then they deleted all the emails. If a normal person did that, someone who wasn't a Wall Street fat cat like Jamie, that person would be thrown in prison for the rest of their life. And probably, their life would be taken from them while in prison by other inmates. The harm that these people have caused cannot be understated. Because I can sit here and ramble on about these old cases, and I will continue to. However, I think that the Epstein-Ghislaine case is a perfect current example. Truly. Because how does a woman get charged with trafficking to no one? What a bang-up job you did, Loftus. I hope that you're proud of yourself. Let's see what we got over here. That's a huge number. Kids always deal differently than adults, but if the psychs agree that dissociation occurs, then there are obviously things that trigger that. Absolutely. We're going to do more little bits, here and there about the science. Pseudoscience, I would say, but Yes, that is a fantastic point. Thank you. And let's see. Oh, hey, Mad Villain. What's up? That's my Twitter homie. Hell yeah, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, hi, Virginia. Hi, thank you. Let's see. The Epstein client list is meant to keep you on a loop and not ask for the videos the FBI has. Mic drop. Mad Villain coming in with the mic drop, y'all. Straight up. Straight up. Because they have the videos. They have the videos. Epstein had a ranch in New Mexico, too. And all that weird stuff that he was doing in the Bahamas with the Gifted Kids program and AI. If you guys want me to get on here and talk about that, I'd love to, because I printed out like 300 pages of court records from the Bahamas because I had to see it for myself. And sometimes it's better for me to, hold it, read through it, and highlight it. And it's completely insane. They signed off on that. So I have very strong feelings about what happened to Epstein because of that, because that was some very serious technology. But that's a story for another day. But mic drop, Mad Villain, and good looking out. I'm so glad you're here. Yes. Yay. All right, cool. So we got some Whitney Webb fans in the house. Yeah, she's awesome. She's super duper smart. Her brain is like a computer. Let me see. And this one article that talks about Mrs. Loftus a little bit more, I thought was very astute. Okay. So, well, let me see if I can zoom in here. Okay. I'm going to just read from the article, guys. While the Frades, remember I've talked about them at length, were never sued by their daughter Jennifer, many of the early FMSF members did face lawsuits from their adult children. That's because, by the early 1990s, anti-violence advocates had managed to extend the rights of victims of sexual abuse. In 1989, Washington became the first state to pass a law that enabled people to sue for damages suffered as a result of childhood sexual abuse within 3 years of the time that they remembered the incidents. By the end of 1992, 18 other states had passed similar laws, and media coverage was initially sympathetic to those who remembered being abused as children. The accused were looking for a defense, and Loftus's work provided them with that. You don't say. You don't say. There's a lot of weird timing with a lot of this stuff. And I've gotten to a point, because I do so much research. It's not because I'm better than anybody else, quite frankly. It's because I don't have a life. I don't party or anything. So, there's a lot of really weird timing with a lot of this stuff. Just like the first international study of child abuse that was ever done, was released on the morning of September 11th, 2001. It's just kind of weird, right? Does it make me a crazy conspiracy theorist? Maybe. I don't know. And again, I will state I do not care. I'm not here to compare the mainstream narrative, so to speak, of Mrs. Loftus's work with everything that I've shown you guys here. I'm just not. I think that we've heard what they want us to hear long enough. Because again, I'm here for the victims. That's all that matters to me. And, I don't know how much more I would have to beat into somebody's head. Just that first article, just that first publication from the Frades about they look like nice people. and they pass a polygraph. I sound insane when those words are coming out of my mouth. Completely insane. But what do I know, right? I don't have a psychology degree or a psychology certificate. So I'm not going to sit here and digress. I don't want to. I just feel motivated. I'm going to say motivated. I'm not going to say angry. I'm not like harboring resentment, but I do feel motivated to continue to discuss this topic. And I'm going to come at it from different angles because I just don't know why people that are still in this field don't want to talk about this. I really don't. Quite frankly, I think it's unacceptable. This topic should not be discussed in passivity. I think that I have shown plenty of evidence to support that. But I could be wrong. Everybody's allowed to make their own determination with the information that I show. I don't tell anyone where to look. I've recommended, a couple places here and there, just places that I like or the way that I like to do things, but I don't tell anybody where to go and what to do. But I just don't really like what's going on in general. I'll give you a little context and then I'll go. So, I had been doing my videos on Instagram for a while. I've got like over 200 videos on there. It's a minute and a half, dopamine hit, boom. If you don't want to finish the story, you can come back or you can go on to the next one. And that's how all of this got started. And I knew that at some point I was going to get to the Franklin scandal because the Franklin scandal was the one that kind of took the wind out of my sails. And I realized that, girl, you don't know nothing, okay? And the United Nations came out with their statement for the advocacy of pedophilia. And I thought, when I saw someone write that and share the link, I thought, hey, maybe they're being a little dramatic, right? Maybe this is someone being a grifter on Twitter. So I read it myself. I think it was released on March 8th. I don't know why I remember that, but I can still see the cover in my head. But it was released this year. And it does absolutely state that they want to remove the age of consent laws. And when I posted that, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're crazy. They would never do that. I had to sit there and ask myself, am I the victim of a disinformation campaign? Do my eyes deceive me? I don't know. But then I just sat back and I read it again and again. No, that's exactly what it says. That is precisely what it says. And this is why people need to read things on their own. Because the United Nations just thinks that they're so smart. Well, they're not. And that is what it says. So after that, that was when I started the Franklin scandal and then covered the many subsequent child abuse cases and pedophile rings. And eventually I will translate all of that over here. Because these things have to be talked about. They have to. I had a really interesting conversation on an interview the other night. I think it's the Angry Tiger show. It's more of a financial show. But they asked me to come on, and I was really excited. It was an interesting conversation. But we were talking about kind of the importance of words, right? Because everybody just calls everybody a Nazi now, right? And it doesn't mean anything. And so it makes it super ironic when people run around, calling people fascists, because it's like, wow, you don't have a good grasp of history, because changing language is literally what fascists do. But I made the point, and I'll make it here, that I don't care if I get taken off of YouTube. I don't. Okay? I don't care if I get reported. I don't care if I get flagged. I don't care, because the truth matters. And in the context of words being changed, pedophile still holds power. And I think that that's for a reason. And that's why they're trying to change it. They're certainly not overusing it so that it doesn't mean anything. I know that there's people that like throw around the word groomer. I don't really care about that. I don't, because again, words lose their meaning. But pedophile, that one holds a lot of power, and it's important. And I will continue to say it, and I will not censor myself, because people need to hear it. It's not minor attracted person. It's not some sort of weird philia like Dr. John Money wanted it to be. Again, I hope that I am laying out my argument well. And if I'm not, please tell me, because I do. I want constructive criticism. But I hope that I am laying out my argument well, that just because someone says that they're smarter than you because of a piece of paper, or because of a license, or because of a degree, they're not. Don't ever let anybody tell you any different. We can all learn from each other, and no one is the arbiter of truth. Do not let someone convince you that your instincts are wrong, or that your own mind is deceiving you, or that you can't trust your own eyes, or that you're crazy. I get called a crazy conspiracy theorist all the time. It's nothing new to me. I don't care. But these people are not smarter than you. And people, I'm specifically talking about the False Memory Syndrome Foundation and its proselytizers of today. They think that they're smarter than everybody else. And so they get to just wreak havoc in people's lives, including children. And nobody questions them on it, because they're in authority. Well, I'm here to tell you, and if you think I'm talking to you, I probably am, that I am here to absolutely question your authority. Because I would argue that if you're not willing to talk about everything and look at the history of everything, then you're hiding something for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. I'm just speculating, okay? Just because you say you're an authority on something doesn't really mean anything to me at all. I don't care. I'm here for the truth. I'm here for all the victims that have been gaslit. I'm here for the victims that have had documentaries made where they're made fun of on TV, where they're made fun of on Netflix. There are people that are profiting off of these kids' traumas. Seriously, it's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. And I have no patience for it. So I'm here to speak up for them. And I know that I'm not the only one. I'm well aware of that. I'm not acting like I'm, the white knight, whatever princess coming in saving the day. But this has to stop. This isn't me wanting to censor people. But this is me saying this whole cherry picking thing, it has to stop. Children have to stop being the casualty of the indifference of adults. Period. That has to stop. I don't care if it's in the name of science. I don't care if it's in the name of psychiatry or psychology. I don't care. It has to stop. Why does that not make sense to people? Why does that not compute? Seriously, I don't understand. I don't know how much I'm going to bounce around, guys. I really don't. Because, I told you McMartin's loaded, but basically McMartin is going to be titled McMartin, but I'm going to include the Jubilee Daycare Center. I'm going to include the Presidio Daycare Center. I'm going to talk about a lot of other cases, but everybody knows McMartin, right? So that's what I'm going to title it as. And I don't know what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to stop saying what I'm going to do next because I really haven't followed through. I change my mind every day, depending on what I find. And I think that that's okay, but I want to try to be as transparent with you guys as possible. So I don't know what I'm going to do next. But, this all has to stop. It has to end. And again, why are children the casualty of lazy adults? None of this has aged well. I don't care if it's published in a book. I don't care if there's a building that's still standing to this day in one of their names. Because here's a little preview, and I'll end on this. Because I told you, we're going to start tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and just, mention it now. And there's no pictures or anything. I'm not going to show anything like that, guys. I would never do that. That's completely disrespectful to the victims. But just an example of Mr. Kinsey's research. I'm going to show you guys from some of his books that I've been able to get copies of, where there's a table, okay? And a very prolific pedophile who was his research subject was given a stopwatch and a notebook to see how long it took for something to happen. And in that graph, the age goes down to infants with the time, with the stopwatch. And if you think that this is all just some kind of weird aberration and that Kinsey was just rogue, again, he has a building in his name. He was funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. He had blackmail on the Rockefellers. And so that was how all of his stuff was presented as science. That's how. Who else was involved in sexual blackmail to maintain their power? Let's look at Ghislaine and Epstein. Okay? So that's why this has to stop. I don't care if you've built your whole life on this. Quite frankly, I don't give a damn. This has to stop. And I'm just going to be screaming about this until somebody acknowledges it. Seriously, because it's not okay. It's not okay. And if it was your kids, you wouldn't be okay with it. And if it was you, you wouldn't be okay with it. And I just imagine what the world would be like, if the False Memory Syndrome Foundation never existed.